Hey everyone, Chaps here, and welcome to day 7 of our 2-week New Zealand vacation recap. As usual, if you missed the other days or want some additional background information, it's all linked in the playlist down below. So today was amazing. I mean, I enjoyed the entire trip, and I enjoyed everything up to this point, but today really stood out for us. The day began at Te Puia. Here we got a tour and a chance to see some geothermal activity. We were on the 9 a.m. tour, which was their first tour of the day, and I think that worked out really well. We got to see some tribal houses that were used for various events, and then we made our way over to some trade schools. Unfortunately, I didn't get any pictures of the stone carving or the weaving stations, but I did manage to get some shots of the wood carving station. Personally, I thought the wood carving was really cool, but once they explained some of the weaving stuff, it actually blew my mind. They even demonstrated how they take the leaves of one of the local plants and then turn it into basically a twine-like string. They basically take the plant and then they scrape it with a shell and they get all the fibers out, and then they just sort of roll the fibers on their leg within 30 seconds, or no, it was 10 seconds. They had maybe a 3-foot long string, and I'm talking a strong, durable, I believe it was even a fireproof string that they can use for structural stuff. It was absolutely amazing. After seeing those trade schools, we headed over to a Kiwi conservatory. We learned a lot about the birds, like their nighttime habits, their terrible vision, and most impressively, their eggs. I mean, look at this. The ratio of egg to body on a kiwi is just nuts. Sadly, due to their light sensitivity, we were unable to take pictures in the exhibits. Something that I actually learned today is the size of a kiwi. They're actually about the size of a chicken. I always thought that a kiwi was, kiwi size, the fruit. I guess that was just me being dumb, but that kind of blew my mind that they were chicken size. Following the sanctuary, we walked over to some mud pools. These were actually pretty cool to see, but there's not much to discuss here. What really caught our eye was the geyser going off over to the side. There's a few geysers in the park, with the main one being Pahutu, which goes off once or twice an hour and can reach about 30 meters at its peak. We only got to see it go up to about 30 feet, not the 30 meters, so that was a bit disappointing. We didn't really want to wait around for another hour or so to see if it got bigger, though. Regardless of the geyser, the surrounding area was beautiful. There were also a few other geothermal walks you could take, and most of those paths were actually quite empty. It was a nice, quiet walk with some really cool views. Near the exit, there was a gift shop, and there were a few shirts that we liked, but they seemed to be out of stock. For lunch, we had some authentic New Zealand dishes, straight to Taco Bell. And yeah, that was Caroline's idea, not mine. Seriously, do we need more American fast food on this trip? I will say that it was interesting seeing the different menu options, and it was actually quite expensive for what we got. After lunch, we hit up Sulfur Point. It's an easy walk along a geothermal beach. That said, if you're going anywhere else with geothermal pools, you might as well skip this one. Maybe we just didn't see the right stuff, but it was pretty lame. We did just come from Te Puia, though, which was awesome, so maybe just in perspective, the Sulfur Point thing wasn't that great. While that was a letdown, I think it's Kuirau Park was not a letdown. I wasn't expecting much here, but Caroline recommended we check it out, so we headed over there. Seemed like a really nice casual walk through a park with some basic geothermal features. One cool thing we did see was some foot baths where you could basically put your bare feet in a shallow pool of flowing geothermic water. The end of the hike, well, I guess the furthest spot from the parking lot, was this hot pool, and man, that was totally worth it. Steam just coming off everywhere, and there were places to stand that sort of jetted out into the middle. There were times where all you could see was white all around you. I'm guessing that our clothes kind of smelled like sulfur after that, but man, what an experience. Oh, and I actually dipped my hand down into a pool off of one of the little bridges, and I can confirm that yes, the steaming water is hot. Shocker, I know. The pool sending off tons of steam is actually hot. From there, we made our way to arguably what I've been most excited for, and that's Zorbing. For those who aren't familiar, Zorbing is going downhill in a large inflatable ball. The balls are about 3 meters in diameter with an inner pouch, the part that you ride in being about a 2-meter diameter ball. Zorbing was actually invented in New Zealand, and I think it actually originated at Zorb Rotorua, which is where we were today. We bought their VIP package, which is basically just purchasing a run on each of their 4 tracks and a free t-shirt at a discounted price. So I'm going to throw some footage up here and I'll describe it in a little bit. When zorbing, the inner cavity actually has a few inches of water at the bottom to sort of act as a lubricant. Because of this, we actually need to change into our bathing suits. The tracks we did in order were the dual straight, which is a straight track basically in order to get used to things. There's 2 side-by-side tracks in case you wanted to race. We rode together, which was fun, but in hindsight, I kind of wish I went separately on this one. Multiple people is fun, but I would have liked to try to like crawl around or spin or do something crazy rather than just laying down. Next we did Sidewinder, which is a zigzag track, which gets you used to turning. By the way, that's the footage that you're seeing right now. It's the only one I filmed, as I wanted to enjoy the other ones without worrying about the camera. And I'll say that it looks really slow in this footage here, and if you're looking at it from the outside, it looks very, very slow. But when you're actually in the ball, it feels very, very fast, and it's exhilarating. The next track was Big Air, a fairly fast track with a large turn, and it had 3 drops. One drop in particular was huge and gave me just this giant splash to the face. I think I heard someone saying that it was actually like a 3 or 4 meter drop, which I was not expecting. And I'd say this, for both of us, this was our favorite track. It was fast, had a couple turns, and it was just so much fun. And lastly, we did their newest track, Mega, which was basically just a taller and steeper version of the first track. It was fun, but honestly, the ones with turns are so much better. So I wrote down a few notes here for people who are interested in Zorbing. The first one is, when I already said this, when watching from the outside, it looks a lot slower than it feels when you're on the inside. There's hot tubs at this place, at the base and at the top, so that you can wait in it while you're waiting for your ride, basically. Because you get wet during the thing, you don't want to be standing out in some breezy air the whole time. So the hot tubs were a really, really nice addition. The Zorbs are not very see-through. They look transparent, but they're not that transparent. You can't really see where you're going too well. I knew they wouldn't be fully transparent, but I was hoping for a bit more clarity than what we got. As we were leaving Zorb Rotorua, we both basically agreed that was by far our favorite experience so far. These things are like portable water slides, and honestly, water parks should just start implementing them, and we need more Zorbing in the US. Some of our experiences so far are sort of like do it once and experience this thing type things. And this one is not that. This one I would gladly pay to go do that again because it's a fun thing you can do multiple times. From there, it was a drive to Tarongi, the town for our next hotel. I actually remembered there was a place called Kerosene Creek to check out, so we stopped along the way, and it was basically right along our route. From what I read online, this was a quaint, little-known hot spring with a few small falls and pools that you could relax in, like natural hot tubs. Upon arrival, I was actually surprised to see that there were quite a few people there. It wasn't crowded, but it's not as empty as I was expecting. We just finished drying off and changing into dry clothes and getting out of our bathing suit after Zorbing, so we weren't really planning on going in the water. If we had an extra day, though, we totally would have. We did actually walk out in our sandals and step in the water, and yeah, it's exactly like a natural hot tub. It was really cool. Okay, so now the drive to Tarongi. Nothing too special about the drive. We stayed at the Tarongi Leader Lodge and actually spent 3 nights there. I really liked this place. It was a nice setup on the first floor with a bathroom, kitchenette, dining table, and a lounge area with couch and coffee table. Then upstairs was a bedroom. The lodge itself had a couple of hot tubs so that you could reserve a pool and a mini golf course. It sounds a little extravagant, but it really wasn't that expensive. And I'm really happy that we chose this place, being that this was where we were going to be for 3 days in a row. And that basically wraps up day 7. Before I wrap up the video, though, I had a few other notes. First off, I want to say that the weather so far has been amazing. There was a cyclone a few weeks ago, so a lot of rain. But for us, it's basically been clear skies, partially overcast, with the only rain happening sort of while we're driving or overnight. Also, Rotorua, where we just came from, amazing town. We actually wish that we had booked an extra day or 2 there. There was Waiotapu, the buried village, canopy walks. There were so many things that we could have done if we had an additional day or 2. Also, while it's not really a walking town, Rotorua was very clean and easy to drive, and it seemed to have a really nice variety of shops and restaurants and stuff. Unlike some of the other towns and cities where everything seemed to be closed, almost everything was open in Rotorua, and really Rotorua just seemed like one of our favorite towns so far on the trip. And there we go. 7 days down, and 3 left on the North Island, then about 5 or 6 on the South Island. Tomorrow is our most anticipated hike, the Tongariro Alpine Crossing. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you make sure you don't miss that video. If you're enjoying these, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below or hit me up on Twitter. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you shortly for day 8. See ya.